So I have a couple questions.
Yes.
Um, so like Eckhart Tolle, one of his chapters is devoted to inner body presence.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of like a feeling person. So I was like started doing that and that one feels pretty good.
Mhm.
Um, but it seems like the search is always like what practice or
Mm.
that type of thing, and that one seems to work, but it's not always. And then the question you answered to the one person about the mind, how it kind of attacks us and those feelings, and your
Mm.
response was that's okay,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
That one,
Yeah. Yeah, carry on.
oh. So I mean, for me, it's like the search is like what practice and what's effective and what can I be able to like do all the time or close to all the time or you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I think that, I mean, the practice that I did was staying in the I am, which in a way is most probably like in a body, what you describe Eckhart Tolle is talking about.
Yeah.
It's just bringing your attention back to what's actually happening. And you have all these sensations in the body. So they're always present, more than likely. Sometimes you can go really deep and the body disappears and all the sensations disappear, but more than likely there is the sensation, there's the cool breeze on the hands, there is the sights, there is the heartbeat, the feelings, the emotions. And I think this is a really good practice. I think it's a really beautiful practice. But all the ideas that there is a you that's practicing, that's a you that's going to get somewhere, there's a you that's going to get enlightened, there's a you that wants to get enlightened, is all bullshit. It's all mind activity. It doesn't mean that you have to not do the practice. It's just that it's all mind activity, that there is a you going in time that's going to get enlightened. Because say if you take that practice now and you put your attention really deeply in the body, where is this you that's going to get it or not? You can see in a way that when you begin to think, is it a right practice or isn't it a right practice, or should I do it or shouldn't I do it, it's all going into time and it's all an avoidance of the actual practice itself. It all means nothing because it's all a story about you going somewhere. And where is this you going to go to? It's been learning about enlightenment, so it believes it's going to go to enlightenment, but who is it that's going to make it to enlightenment? Who is this you that believes it exists? There is this moment, and this moment is present and aware of itself. There isn't a somebody that's present and aware of itself. There's a storyteller that's functioning, that's coming and going and telling you a story about your life, and that's okay. You don't have to stop that, but it's not truth, what it's saying, and it's not you. And that's the assumption all the time, is that storyteller is me, and I'm on a mission to arrive somewhere, but where are you going to arrive to?
Right. So, um, yeah, so are you kind of saying like even though you're doing that, also be aware that that narrator isn't
Yeah.
real or
Yeah, well, I'm even going deeper than that, because who would even be aware of that? Again, that would be another thought that says, like, okay, be aware that that narrator isn't real, but who is being aware of that? That would be another abstraction of the mind, which is okay. That you can do that and you can be aware that it's not real, but it's also going even deeper than that and seeing that too is thought. And what is it that's beyond all thought? And then you're left with presence. So you're kind of left what Eckhart Tolle's like telling you to practice as being present, but you're kind of left with that when you really see that the mind isn't you, that you're beyond the mind. And it's not even a you seeing it, because who would see it?
oh, yeah, so are you suggesting anything kind of?
Um, I'm suggesting that if that works for you, that practice, I think it's really healthy for the body mind to do these types of things. Because I think that there's too much investment into thinking in the human day-to-day living. But I'm also suggesting that there's something beyond all of that.
Yeah, and I think he describes that pretty well. Kind of like you
Yeah,
said, you get to a point where maybe you don't even know the body's there. The
yeah,
the the purpose of it is to take the power back away from the
yeah,
mind or something along those lines
yeah,
to reside in the body, kind of
yeah.
like you talk about, like
And then
check
and
the
another
chakras.
yeah, another area that you can explore is that, you know, with everything comes opposite. So if you like doership, so if you like doing things and if you like doing things towards enlightenment, then that will be a tendency of your mind, is that when there is a problem or when there is a situation, you want to do something to deal with it. And that is going to come with an opposite. So it's just looking at that feeling and that sensation and that experience that's arising. So other people, they might like fantasizing about things when they feel uncomfortable, or when they you might not even necessarily notice you're feeling uncomfortable. But so say if somebody's a bit bored at work or something, they might start fantasizing about what they're going to cook for dinner, or where they're going to go on holiday that year, or how much money they could earn if they did something else. And that induces pleasure in them when they do that, when they fantasize about that. And really, what they're doing is they're trying to avoid the opposite to what that induces, which is the fear of not being able to do anything. Like, who would you be if you lost that idea of you being able to do something to arrive somewhere? The feeling that accompanies doership is in the solar plexus, and the idea that you can do something. But just who would you be if you didn't have this polarity of doing things and not doing things? Because really it's all imagination, that there is a you that can or can't do things.
Yeah, I don't know that I enjoy doing practices. I just feel like I just feel like I mean there's of course the rational part is, you get beyond it, you
Yeah,
get beyond the insanity, and how do you do that?
yeah. But
Um,
maybe you enjoy the idea that there is a way beyond insanity. Like it's like so.
there's a path.
Yeah, and just noticing that, because the idea of you being left in insanity is maybe terrifying to you. It's just holding those both ideas, like the idea of not being able to get yourself out of something. But notice
Yeah,
that you being stuck in something and you getting out of something is all in your imagination, and it's a habit of the body mind mechanism, and it's a thought process which comes in and colors your world. It's not a reality.
yeah.
Like either
Well,
one. So we're always going between these either ones, and it's okay because that's the way our body's conditioned. But it's just seeing that no idea, no thought is truth, or no feeling, because the feeling that comes with that is from the solar plexus,
uh,
and it's, like when you really feel into it, it's like a horrible, deathly feeling in the negative. And when you feel empowered and like you can do something, it's really like invigorating and a beautiful feeling. Just noticing that they're both illusions, all of it, the whole thing. And that really who you truly are is right here, right now, this moment. And this moment has no boundaries, this moment has no limitation, and this moment isn't being experienced by a thing, by a someone, by an idea, by a thought, by a position. It's experiencing itself as itself. Consciousness is in all things, and it is simultaneously no things.
yeah. So I mean, I guess you're kind of saying presence is
Yeah,
what it is,
yeah,
and he does really, he describes that. I mean, that's the name of
yeah.
his the
Yeah, I
power of
love
now.
Eckhart Tolle. Like I think I recommend him on my website, even if I haven't. I should do. I just forgotten.
Yeah,
Yeah, he speaks really beautifully about this subject. And I remember when I first started reading Eckhart Tolle, um, like I got into Eckhart Tolle after being into Buddhism, and I remember like the first time I read his books, I thought it was so complex, like and really hard to read. And now, like my feeling towards it is it's really good for beginners. But even when I started reading it, I'd already been studying Buddhism for like 5 years, and I still found it hard, like the concepts. So it's really like, yeah, it's all perspective, isn't it? But it's not
Is that
really for beginners. It's just a nice step into non-duality. Like he begins to talk about no self, but he talks about it in a much easier way than say I talk about it. So he talks about no self and consciousness and pain and pleasure and pain, the pain body. Like, and he puts it in more accessible ways than I do, I think.
yeah?
Like to
Is it is
most
it like
people.
hard to
For most
digest
people.
because the mind's fighting it? Like,
Sorry.
no, no.
What when I listen to it? I think it's mind's most probably fighting it. Like the mind is in resistance. But I think also it's so different from what, or so different from what the society as a whole believes. Maybe now it's more acceptable. Like it was 20 years ago, I think, when he released that, and I read it like 2001 or something.
Yeah,
But I think that society is very far away from those ideas. So it's so abstract. Like when I first learned Buddhism, I didn't even know that I thought in a way. I just thought my thoughts were real, the way they were. So if I looked at someone and thought they're an angry person, I didn't really know that I was thinking. I thought that was fact. I thought, yeah, they're an angry person. That's the way it is. Like, and I
yeah,
looked at a chair and I just thought the chair was a chair. I didn't really know that that was simply a thought that I'd stuck onto it. That concept was so abstract to me in the beginning. I remember
yeah.
at university that one of my peers did a production about the fact that all things are no things, that things is simply a concept. And I remember it really being
Wow.
so profound at that time. Whereas now I've spoken and heard it so much, and maybe now society is more open to it, that we can comprehend those ideas a lot quicker. We can process it. We can say, okay, the floor isn't really a floor. The floor is something that we've named. A tree isn't really a tree. It's something we've named and we call it a tree. In actuality, it is not a thing. Like things
That's
are, yeah.
that's funny that here's your like um introduction to non-duality in a college course, huh? Kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. Yeah, you're so lucky sometimes if you study the arts. Like if you get really open-minded teachers,
Oh yeah.
you can, yeah, that I had some really open-minded teachers and really pushed my thinking. I also had some really closed-minded people. Like I remember being in a course at university and they were talking about Madonna and everyone was really pro her. You know, I did performing arts, so there was like she was really popular at that time.
Huh.
And I remember saying to them, if she was fat, she wouldn't be famous. And they were
Huh.
so mortified. Like they were like, how dare you say that? And I remember like the whole class
Queen.
suddenly was hating on me. And so it also could be really closed-minded as well. But you could get some teachers that were so super open-minded. Like I didn't mean it against fat people, but I just meant that, like I just meant it in the sense that a lot of like popular singers at the time were popular because of the way they looked.
Right.
Not
And
they also she's got a real flair to her. There's great things that she does. Like I'm not saying that she's untalented, but I can't imagine if she was like really plump at that time it would have been acceptable. Now I think it's coming in, and you can get women that are really voluptuous, and they too also can be famous. Like that the lady that sings that really popular song. Yeah, da 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 da. Here, monkey, dance, monkey, dance, monkey. You know that song?
I don't
I
know
forget
that
her.
one, but
Yeah, she's quite voluptuous. She's from Australia. She's not like really voluptuous, but she's quite voluptuous. And I just when she became really popular, I was like, yeah, that's super cool. Like because when I was at university and when I was growing up, it was mostly very skinny women that could only very skinny women could represent women.
yeah, and that's sad.
Yeah,
I know it's just like I look at how women have to just do so many things and spend so much time just to be presentable to this stupid
yeah,
concept.
yeah.
Isn't it sad?
It is sad, but it is changing now. Like there's
Yeah.
because of YouTube and the younger generations, I think, are really sick of it. I mean, maybe
Really?
I'm really out of touch. Actually, maybe that's not the way it is. Maybe actually the younger generations are really, really vain because of social media. Yeah, most probably they are. But I think there's a part of the younger generation that are really getting sick of it and like reject companies or reject images that are only based on stick women. Like, so there's maybe a small percentage of the younger generation that are changing that, but that's still something.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks unhealthy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that one. Um, because and here's a really good example. So I was kind of looking at it last week, and then when I went golfing, then I was really trying to practice that, and it helped immensely,
Yeah.
like incredibly. So there's evidence to it that, and he suggests that you try to at least give some attention to it all the time, because the concept is you you're creating separation from the mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
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 I think that's a great practice, but then like as you really go into it, you really begin to see like who is practicing,
yeah.
like and um, who would practice, and also like do you have the choice to do that or not? But it doesn't mean that you don't have to. You have to start saying, okay, I don't have the choice. I'm not going to do it. Like throwing the baby out with the bathwater. It's just you just begin to like all your ideas shatter more and more. That when you're really present, all of these ideas about you, doership, getting, arriving are only ideas. The really is just presence, and presence is no thing appearing as everything. It's experiencing itself, but
I like that.
itself isn't a thing.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate you like twisting it a little bit and giving me that perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who is that? Who's doing that? Who's there?
Who?
Oh, cool. So are you in France? Are
Yeah,
you
I'm in
back?
France.
Yeah.
Yeah, the borders
How
are
you
all
been
open
doing?
now. Hmm?
How have you been doing?
Yes, I've been doing very well. I had the lockdown in Germany, which is a very easy place to have lockdown.
Yeah.
Germany really didn't have much of a. I did have a lockdown, but it didn't feel very strong. Like the shops were shut and you had to stay away from people. But it felt compared to like other countries where you weren't even allowed to go out or you had to stay 100 meters to the house or something.
Wow.
Yeah, so yeah, I've been by the seaside in Germany, which was very pleasant. And now I've just arrived back in France a few these days ago, which
Oh,
is very
wow.
nice. Yeah.
Cool. I think this whole thing's been a good thing for people
Yeah. Yeah.
in the sense that they need to, look at themselves and appreciate and,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. And also most probably really good for the environment.
oh, yeah, yeah, very few planes
Yeah.
polluting and people polluting and yeah. Well, I so much appreciate you
Yeah.
sharing.
Thanks, Dennis. It was really lovely speaking to you. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you have a wonderful rest of the evening.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
All right, you too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
That was nice.